All right. Well, let's see if that fixes the issue or if it killed the live stream entirely. Uh, 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 uh. Um, hold on. So there we go. So the question is, where does this fucking go? Dismiss. Do I have to remake the entire fucking stream? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's back. No, it's not made for kids. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, and so let me see what, we changed the URL for the fucking stream. Yes, we did. That's fucking annoying. God. See, if I had more subscribers, I could just fucking. Alright, well, it's doing its thing. It is appearing on YouTube once more. Ugh. Oh. 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 Alright, let me update a couple of these places. Edit. Alright. Let me edit this for these JRE headers. There we go. All right. Well, thank you to. We probably lost him, but Azania 98 right there, where yeah, thank you so much for the info. The for whatever reason, yeah. Oh, I know what it is. I hadn't rebooted OBS, and I added a bunch of new audio devices, and OBS was like, "Where's the audio device?" Yeah, Windows really could use some help with its persistence of audio devices. I mean, it's not its fucking fault. It's like, hey, where's this mixer? And then it's my own fault for disabling it. All right. Hold on. Let me just let these people know. Do you think? There we go. All right. Well, let's see if I can get back into focus because I thought I was. No more than an ornament. I think we've already established that she's huge. Check, check, check. Yeah, I wonder what that pop was. It was weird. It was like, usually, hold on, what's my voltage at? All right, so 116.2. I'd love to get like I should probably invest in like a really well-regulated power supply. Like the one I have just has like a voltmeter on it. And it was like scavenged from a company I used to work at. But if I were smart, this whole studio would be on like regulated. I wonder what that. Go to Amazon and just see all the dildos I've ordered. Power conditioner. Yeah, I wonder what one that actually. Line conditioner. AVR surge. Powerful 40. 1800 watts of power. That's not nearly enough. Because like the fucking computer alone. What's it? How many amps am I pulling there? How the fuck am I pulling 8.1 amps? That seems insane in the membrane. Crazy insane, got no brain. Even to me, that seems a little excessive. How am I pulling 8.1? Oh, I just put a new video card up in there. That might be the culprit. 2,500 dollars insurance. I wonder. Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna buy anything Pile makes ever again in my life. God, they're garbage. All right, well, that's something for a later time. Blah. Blah. Do warthogs have whispers? Um, well, I definitely need the fucking keyboard to work. It would also be a bummer if Safari had fucking crashed, which it has. One of these days. Look at this bullshit. Uh, uh. Force quit. I'm looking at you, fucking Safari. It's probably Adblock fucking it up. Oh, cool. It saved all of my bullshit. All right. But now I have to remember what the fuck I was looking at. There we go. This guy is drawing. Oh, so how's it going? I launched into a whole spiel about how the edit was going, and you couldn't hear anything. It's probably a corollary for how I feel about my life in general, just screaming into the void. Ah! So this one is going very, very slowly. You can see me getting all distracted and things breaking and so forth. I started writing this like 5 or 6 years ago, and I've come a long way since then, which means that every single chapter, there's just been a ton of rewriting so far, where I'm like, you got to use active language, and it's just a problem. So the nice thing about this story was that it made it to the second round of consideration at a major publishing house, which for me, that's never really happened before. And I think out of every thousand, because this got picked out of slush, right? One out of every 1,000 manuscripts will get picked out of slush, so it's good. But then only like one out of every 100 of those will turn into like an actual novel at a major house. So that should give you an idea of the stakes. Or maybe it's more like one out of every 10, because I don't know if they get 100,000 manuscripts. So mine didn't make the final cut. And I have to use what kind of language? I don't remember. If you could refresh my memory a little bit. Active language. So you can see a lot of tense confusion in here. Frequently, I would use a structure where I would be like past tense, present perfect, past tense, present perfect, or present perfect, past tense, past tense. It's not good. Yeah. So in general, we try to use more active verbs and keep the line in one tense. So we're just doing simple past for this entire story. In places, you have to go to, what is it? It's past perfect? Yeah, I think it's past participle. The infinitive, yeah, present participle or a gerund. So actually they're present participles. So you'll see frequently that we just edited a line like that, where comic strips don't have that problem. All right, well link one of your comics, and I'll tell you if it's any good, and then we can decide whether we want to be friends or not. No pressure. How tiny he was. A zero dangled from her ear, an ornament. I wanted to find out if warthogs have whiskers. I think they have whiskers. All right, look at... Oof. White warthog. Oh, yeah, look at this. What a G. Oh, that's fucking amazing right there. What a G. Warthog update. How Harley has grown. I would go to a zoo just to check out this hog. Really and truly. Well, what I'm thinking about too is I don't think pigs have whiskers per se. Oh, well, they sort of have whiskers. Oh, yeah. Yeah, those are definitely whiskers. Look at this pig. Oh, look at these hilarious creatures. God. I do want there to be a god so that somebody is lolling at all this. God, look at that pig head. Have you ever been to a barbecue where they BBQ one of them heads? Yeah, let me know if it's eating your URL or whatever, because I really will check out your comics. But I have a critical eye. Mm-hmm. Since in comic strips you don't have narration, you don't have to write active verbs. You're describing the panel, so everything is present simple mostly. Well, I don't know if you get into like a long form comic strip like Alfie, which speaking of which, there's a new Alfie out this week. I should check it out. Wait, is it Thursday? There might be two that I could see there, or even like Oglaf or any of the other pornography cartoons. Some people really do get pretty deep into it, and will use every element of English editing within there. Or and political cartoonists have to get like a little deeper into their structure too. It's not just like one, two, three punchline all the time. But yeah, definitely Alfie has narration in it, and there's like some POV and so forth. I mean, it really depends. They blur all the way from like full-on graphic novels to like Far Side style single panelers. So Alfie is this long-running pornography cartoon by a guy named Incase, who is kind of like an infamous pervert. But if you have read the entire comic, as I have, over time, you can watch his drawing develop from like, oh, this guy's got like a little bit of talent, to this guy has developed like a whole style and improved significantly with his writing and setups. Like it just started up like it was an excuse to write smut, but eventually he developed like a whole character set, and he really just put the time in. I mean, there are like 800 or so pages of the story, and he just really has developed over the years into like a really solid artist. Um, anyhow, let me get back. I'm not here to for a review. Uh, Let me try and get into this. Fish dug his feet into the sand, drew his sword, and spun to face the behemoth. Yeah. Oh, so I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't. Yeah, yeah. This is a difficult part of it. Yeah. Um. Let's see. So I take it you don't read much comics. I've read a lot of comics, actually, to tell you the truth. Yeah, like that was where I got my start. In fact, the first things that I ever wrote were comics when I was like 7, 8 years old and so forth. And I like illustrated them and had a grand old time. So this is about a giant pig. So this is a fantasy novel right here. And if you're going to write about an animal, you might as well make it fucking gigantic. So this is like along the lines of one of the giant pigs in Princess Mononoke or something like that. You can, if you're thinking about this pig, we want it to weigh like about 5 or 6,000 pounds and stand something like 12 feet tall at the shoulder. It's just way bigger than this guy. Since warthogs aren't very aggressive, whereas bush pigs are super dangerous and more likely to attack, or is it more of a sentient fantasy creature? I don't generally write sentient animals if I can help it. Like there has to be like a huge justification. The setup for this is that initially she has her drift of 4 piglets drinking by the river, and he creeps up unaware that she's in the bushes and takes a shot at one of them. And the 4 piglets are startled and they start to cry out, and they don't run off. And he's like, "Oh, great, time to take another shot." What he doesn't realize is that they're not running off because they know mom is coming. So their mother blasts through the bushes, snorting and pawing and so forth, and he's stuck. Right? He's still got an arrow drawn, and he can't move a muscle. Right? If he even lets down his arrow, this pig is going to come after him. Now, if you've ever held a bow for a long period of time at tension, I will tell you, it is near impossible to hold that for a long time without your hands starting to shake. That's exactly what happens to him. The sow is staring into the bush, and she notices the tremor run through his bow, and he says, "Oh, fuck, now I'm undone." And so she starts chasing him. He takes the shot, flings the bow aside, and runs for it, because we're talking about a monstrous pig right here. So she chases after him, and he hits the beach. He's like running. His knee almost gives out, and he keeps running because this character is probably about 60 years old. Let's see. It's interesting that out of all the comics out there, I chose Alfie as a narration example. Well, there's definitely like narration. The whole story of Alfie is told as a pastiche with Alfie's journal being sort of the I forget what the term for it is exactly, but like where you remove yourself by making the story a journal so that you have a reason for a narrator to intrude and so forth. So Mizula says, "Hello there. What am I writing?" We're writing an epic fantasy novel about a dungeon delve. And we're just doing the setup now, where the characters are chasing each other into the giant dungeon. And this is about a fight with an enormous pig. Now I'm feeling better about the chapter as I narrated the action that's happening there, because I'm so bogged down in the language. I like mirror ornament right there. So this guy drawing says, "What kind of science fiction do you write?" I mostly write hard SF because that's what's really interesting to me. If I'm going to write something that's just fantastic, I'd rather go into like straight fantasy. So in October, boom, I have a new book coming out called Zeros. Boom. It is a prison story, kind of like Full Metal Jacket meets Ender's Game. And you can see it right here. Fucking gorgeous. We edited it on stream. Let me see. But the real trick is to have the right perspective shown without a narrative. Yeah, like obviously you want to. It's funny how like in comics, the more text you use, the more you're like failing. There really is like a every word that you add kind of bogs down your whole thing. So the cool thing about this book is. If you look at the front, you can see, I don't know if you have very good eyes, you can see the special thanks to the people on stream who took part in the editing. So anybody who suggests an edit to the story and gets it accepted, I add them to this list right here. So you can see where we have a log of our progress. And these are the people who have suggested edits. Whoever has the most edits at the end of this, we send them some swag. Read the likes of Arthur C. Clarke or Asimov. I've been interviewed on a radio show where both Arthur C. Clarke and Asimov and the guy that got me into this, Ray Bradbury, had all been interviewed. It's called The Hour of the Wolf. It's on WBAI here in New York City. Can I get a copy of Zeros on Google Play? I think it'll be on Amazon for the most part. I'm not sure if I can. I think it's exclusive to there because we're doing Kindle Unlimited. But the ebooks will be available on my website for sure. So, yeah, and I haven't really looked into Google Play as a market for some reason. Here, let me get the dead pig off of my screen. There, we'll go to this little one instead. So, yeah, Zeros is pretty solid right there. That was a good edit stream. We really did a lot of work there. I hammered that whole novel out in 3 months, and we edited it in 4. Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of both Asimov and I really like the Golden Age type stuff. My absolute favorite, one of my top science fiction novels of all time, is Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. Just beautiful, just a gorgeous story, and it's one where sort of his very formal, kind of stilted style really lends itself to the narrative. It is just kind of like the perfect blend. Like Rendezvous with Rama is a really interesting story, but at the same time, you're very aware of the voice of Arthur C. Clarke, this very detached, scientific, his potentially creepy personal life aside, he just has like a very formalized voice for his narration, and it just really works better when you're talking about the context of Childhood's End. Loved it. I like that mirror ornament. Fish dug his feet into the sand, drew his sword, and spun to face the behemoth. What an error. The monster sow bore down on him like an avalanche. His sad arrow dangled from her ear, a mere ornament. Mm-hmm. He was doomed. He was surely doomed. Mm-hmm. Ugh. So this is like a really annoying construct where the correct would be the terror he ought to have felt, but just throw that shit out the window. That doesn't belong in a book. Uh, Voicing out sentences. Oh yeah, yeah. So this is one of my number one tips for editing, and I've said this hundreds of times on the stream. Uh, Writing things out, reading things without subvocalizing, and reading things aloud. Each of those is four different styles of reading text or of interpreting or working with text, right? Each one of them engages a different part of your brain. As you're writing things out, you're generally not sounding out the words. You're not concerned with the sort of tenor, the diction, the flow of the sentence. Those aren't important, right? You're just getting concepts onto the page. So when we edit, I do it in several passes, right? The first edit is in that space where you're just thinking about words as constructs without sounds. You're just working on ideas and so forth. When you are done with your rough draft, it's time to edit. And to get the best results, I've found that it works 100% better if you read each line carefully aloud and think about what the line sounds like to to the ear. And that engages a completely different part of your brain, and you'll find all these like very awkward pieces of language that you would never say, right? And does that mean that you can't write things that you would never say? No, absolutely not. But because everything that I write eventually will become an audiobook, it's critical to me that we don't have like big clunky pieces of language. And also, I'm not writing like a scholarly tome. I'm not writing literary fiction where like I want people to be brought to tears by the beauty of my constructs. It forces you to use simpler, more direct language almost always, and that's usually like much better. So do I write Creole or such? What are you talking about at New Orleans? No, I try to keep the wretched language of the swamp people out of my narrative. I have to be like 3 or 4 beers in for that accent to come back. Good Lord. But yeah, I don't do accents when narrating audiobooks for the most part, because they're usually, I'm not good enough. Fish dug his feet into the sand, drew his sword, and spun to face the behemoth. What an error. The sow bore down on him like an avalanche. His sad arrow dangled from her ear, a mere ornament. Yeah, this is... But the terror he ought to have felt. Hmm. What he felt? Hmm. Thinking of patois, but you got that question. So, speaking of patois, another novel that we edited on stream that was fucking amazing, Lemon Maybe and the Electric Lady, and it's written almost entirely. It's narrated in like this thick South Brooklyn accent for the entire time. The narrator's voice is in that because it's like one. It's again one of those picture in pictures where the story is told with the conceit that it's a little bit narrated as a story told in a bar by this bartender named Lemon Lemoyne, who is actually a coon ass from Louisiana himself. But he's been in Brooklyn so long that he's picked up like a lot of that accent, which is a good. It's a good narrative tool for me to use because like that's my background right there. But yeah, there's so much like deep New York drawl in that story. But this one, generally, when I'm writing fantasy, I like to steer clear of that a little bit. Like earlier in the story, we've cleaned up a bunch of spots where we're using that like typically anglicized, like freshen your drink, governor. You know, that kind of like horseshit thieves can't. Um, because it's really a little bit played out. People tend to do that a lot. And wait, for how long have I been streaming? We've been doing this edit for 28 days, but I've done like the last 4 or 5 novels like this. What did we do? We did Gravid, which is like about 800 pages. Then we did. I took a break. We did a little book called Space Tards, which hold on, do I have that floating around? Let's see here. Oh man, this one super fun. It's a story about retarded space marines. Since when did I start streaming? I've been streaming in some form on the internet since like 2002. I've been around. Holy shit. I should be dead. But yeah, back then it was all shoutcast for the most part. We couldn't do video streaming, but before Twitch became, back in the day, it used to be something called Justin TV, and I was on that back in the day, and on the old Ustream and so forth. Yeah, I've been everywhere. He was doomed. So if you want to do deja vu, it is three. No, it's 2E2 JA1. Boom. You can remember deja vu that the accents point towards the dot of the J. Shoutcast, yeah, you should be dead. Well, I will be soon. Fish should have been terrified. Instead, he was stung by a strange deja vu. The gigantic foe, the inadequate weapon, the certain doom. They were all so familiar. If only he could remember. Uh, so Fish, in his narration, has a lot of these sort of italicized asides, and he's the only character that we do this with. He's the oldest character in the book, by a long time, and we'll get into it a little bit later. But generally, I try to avoid doing this, just having these italicized bursts of thought and so forth. But it seems appropriate for this character. And as we were talking about this the other day, older people generally tend to reflect more. They spend more time thinking. What the oh oh, okay. Not that's damn. I just got some chilling news. Mm-hmm. 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 May I ask, what's with the new account? What new account? What are you talking about? Like, well, I do radio stuff, but that's like a whole different angle here. No, this is the only account that I've used for live streaming, what you want to call it, edits on Twitch. So I only got the idea to start doing editing live back in like 2019, the very end, like right as like COVID was starting to start up. That's where I started. I was like, I'm gonna try and edit this entire thing. It's November 2019. Um, Actually December 1st, I think we started, and then it took 100 or so days to edit the whole thing. But yeah, like I have other projects online, but the writing one is like brand new. Yeah, I have very little traction with writing for the most part. Like my books don't sell particularly well, and I'm not great at promoting, but I'm decent at writing them. Like the when this looks rough now, but by the time that this is done, it will be um, on the level of any of the commercial fiction that you can find out there. And part of it is because I will put 200 days into this if I need to. We'll edit every single day, and this is not the end of it. I will have an edit, like a real editor, go through afterward. Everything will be like properly typeset. I'll get like an amazing cover. Like I don't fuck around. I really and truly do not. And it's because I've worked in publishing for like a long time, and I know how much work goes into these guys. And I think when people first get into writing, they really have no concept of like how long they're going to spend working on these things to get anywhere. It really is just. Well, I mean, you can see I've been working on the same page for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, partly because I'm distracted. Mm, hmm. So I'd like to have something about how if only he could remember. Oh yeah, there's just so much stuff out there, man. Like trying to get anything out there um, is extremely difficult. And like honestly, you're never really ready to have your stuff out there. You always have so much room for improvement. But eventually you get to a point where you're like, it'd be really nice to make some money on this, which is where I'm at right there. But you gotta keep grinding. Success is destiny if you just keep trying. Whew. Fish should have been terrified. It was doomed. Fish should have been terrified. Instead, he was stung by a strange deja vu. The gigantic foe, the inadequate weapon, the certain death. They were all so familiar. If only he could remember. Mm-hmm. I like that. I really like the sow bearing down on him like an avalanche. I sound like somebody with a master or PhD in literature. I literally was thrown out of every high school I ever attended. Right? I got kicked out of school, hitchhiked all over the country, spent years working as the night shift at a hotel in New Orleans, was in the Air Force, and have been literally everywhere in America, like every single contiguous state. I still haven't been to Alaska and Hawaii there. But everything that I know about writing is the result of doing it the wrong way. Literally just spending years and years writing incorrectly, trying to figure it out all on my own. And honestly, still, you can see the legacy of a lot of this because this was written like 5 years ago. And it's like the one thing in my life where I've taken it seriously and always tried hard. And like every single day, you'll see me here like fighting on it. So this is all very hard won. Not a native speaker though. Well, yeah, hold on. Let me see. May I ask what's with the new account? Glad I stumbled on you. When did you start streaming? Mayor Patois. If you're not a native speaker, the fact that you brought up Creole and Patois, I would guess like some kind of like either you're like Belgian, Quebecois, or French, or maybe West African. That would be cool. Yeah. So what's your original language of choice? Those are just guesses. Romanian. Oh shit. Yeah, my family's from the Ardeal. Real talk. I was like halfway across the continent from the right thing. Yeah, man. Some beautiful women in Romania. Oh snap! You're in Ardeal. Shit. Yeah, I want to go and see the homeland at some point. Really and truly. Yeah, now would be like a great time. I think. I think they're almost done with their COVIDs and so forth. Yeah, I've always wanted to go and see it. I'm sure it'll be like a rude awakening, but yeah, that's where we're from. There was no more time. You should. Summer in the Mountain is the best. The people, still a post-Soviet society, and habits are hard to take. I actually like people who are. I live in New York City, and it's for a reason because people here, if they don't like you, you know that they don't like you. There's no like phoning, like "Hi, how you doing? Welcome to." But none of that shit. It's like, "What do you want?" That kind of thing, and like intense distrust of outsiders because everybody in the city has had to deal with people who have taken advantage of them. If they show any kindness whatsoever, uh, and I don't have a ton of experience in Soviet bloc. The best I've gotten to is like Prague, where everybody is like a little bit shady and super drunk, and there's just like a seedy undercurrent to it, like a basic idea, which is like a big part of the experience of living in New Orleans, is like everybody is corrupt down there. It's too fucking hot to lead an honest life. But yeah, someday I will go to Romania and help them reconquer Moldova, as is my destiny. It's really not. Mm-hmm. Non-Romanian. Oh, there's Big Spathiwa. Truly are. Yeah, I want to know. What do you think about? So from time to time, people like float the idea of Moldova rejoining Romania, and I think I've seen a few polls. Though, like obviously, you can't trust a poll where anything political is concerned. But I've seen a few polls where like there are a lot of Moldovans who are like, yeah, we should be part of Romania. Like, what do people really think about that? That's always been something that's interesting to me. And culturally, they're so similar. Um, Watch now as you edit. Oh, well, glad to make a fan right there. Yeah, if you see, so it'll be harder because you're not a native speaker. It's harder to pick out some of the grammatical issues here. But if something doesn't make sense to you, or like something sounds wrong and so forth, and you tell us about it, I will put your edit on this thing. And if you get edits into the book, you'll be thanked on the first page. You can see even Fred and Dragomir CM with their lowly one edits, and even Raborn, they will get into the book. I do this every single time because I'm a believer. Mm-hmm. There's a little telly right here. To be honest, I don't know what they will gain from unifying. I only know Romanian expatriates, and they have disdain for the state of their country still suffering the ravages of communism. Well, it's not just the ravages of communism either. Like, Romania was never doing fucking fantastic. I guess, you have to get back way, way deep to have a time where, and even a lot of that is colored with nostalgia. It's always been like a rough spot. Same nation as far as we are concerned. Our language is the same. Our history. There's no difference other than the accent, but the political state of things has a split. I don't really care much as long as my Moldovan brothers live all right, which they don't. Ugh. Yeah, yeah. I would love to see. Yeah, I'd love to see it. Honestly, like I've always, like obviously have much love for the Romanian people. I think they really get a bad fucking rap all throughout Europe because because of how shady we are. But they work hard, and like everywhere in London and everywhere in Amsterdam and everywhere in like Germany, always encountering Romanians who have escaped and are working, like terrible jobs or as prostitutes or whatever, but they made it out. Like less than half of Moldovans want Romanian citizenship or whatever. I've seen like varying polls on that where it's like half and so forth. But even like Puerto Rico, right? Puerto Rico is so American, right? They're super duper American, and they can never get a referendum going. Debatable. I don't like hanging out with Moldovans at all. Oh, really? Like, yeah. What's the problem with Moldovans? Oh, hold on. They're my patriots. I will stand by them. I gotta go now and just figure out like what. Maybe I'll do like a YouTube video or something on like Romania, Moldova. What's going on? And just make up like a bunch of like crazy shit. Like Moldovans butter their bread upside down. Like when you hate your cousin's familiarity breeds contempt. Huh. Yeah, I don't really hate any of my cousins, but I never see them, so there's no familiarity. There's no more time. Okay. There was no more time. The sow bore down on him like an avalanche. Fish feigned to dive, and the pig tilted to intercept. He ducked, a heartbeat ahead of her slashing tusk, and then popped up and lunged with his rapier. Moldovans suffered the most out of all of us. My Moldovan grandmother went through a famine, so they're a bit rough and shady. Yeah, you see that a lot with people who have gone through, like, I've talked about this on the stream before, but a girl I used to date told the story about her grandmother who went through the Great Depression, and like there was this one particular type of donut that she liked, and she would always like whenever I'm not sure I can do the story justice, but without getting too deep into it, she would always take this one particular donut and was like very possessive of it, and would take it and wouldn't eat it in front of other people. And when she died, they went up to her room, and there was literally like one room that was just donuts stacked up like almost floor to ceiling. um, uh, I want tilted there rather than juked. And juke, almost always you would use, fish would be the one juking, right? Because she is the massive force. Juking is almost always dodging rather than just in context. But it's a good point. Moldovans don't speak straight like they do any. Oh, are they like they got like some of that Byzantine shadiness in there? The Turks ever conquer them? I can't remember if the Turks ever had Romania. Fucking Turks. I want to go to Turkey too, honestly. See that giant hell pit that's always on fire. Mm-hmm. Fish feigned to dive, and the pig tilted to intercept. He ducked under her slashing tusk and lunged with his rapier. The lad's steel blade pierced the sow's thick hide and bit deep into her shoulder. His movements felt practiced as a dance, though his memory has faded. Mm-hmm. Reminds me of this one night when I learned that Brits are weird as fuck. A Romanian accordion busker played like 10 different tunes from my native land for like 15 minutes. I gave him £5. My friends didn't like that. Um, an hour later, a guy asked £10 for a $2 pack of cigarettes. I told him to fuck off, and they didn't like that either. Yeah, they really, the Brits do not fucking like Romanians. Anybody that they haven't personally conquered and subjugated, they regard with an intense suspicion. That's the whole Brexit right there. They're just like, we didn't conquer these guys for long, so fuck it. Oh. Indian guy asked $10 for a $2 pack of cigarettes. Why? I'm like, why would that happen? I don't understand how that went down. Wait, I streamed to more train. Yeah, I'm restreaming to like Twitch and fucking YouTube and DLive and Facebook and this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, you can do all that with Restream, or there are other multiplexers out there. If you do comic editing and you want to stream, there's a service called Picardo, but I used to be streaming on there, but they like fucked up their integration with Restream, so I need to fix that at some point. But it all felt practiced. Mm-hmm. Memory fades, reflexes remain. Oh, just got any change? Guy who's smoking? Yeah. Yeah, like honestly, I'm with you on that. Like somebody who just wants something for fucking nothing, get out of here. Get out of here. Like anybody who's like bumming a cigarette or whatever. Like I when I used to smoke, I remember one time a guy came up to me, "Hey man, can I get a cigarette?" And I'm like, "I don't smoke." Uh, they just look at you like, "What the fuck?" And like they'll argue too, and you just like kind of treat them as if they're not there, and they get really mad about it. I once in New Orleans, a guy was sitting up on a stoop. He's like, "Hey man, can I get $1?" Blah, 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 blah. And I was like walking by, and I was like, "You don't exist." And I kept walking, and you could hear him behind me. I was like, "What the fuck? I don't exist." He got really mad about it right there. It was so mean. I've never been a huge fan of bums. Whoa. So mean of me. But at the same time, yeah, like you can all racial tension in New Orleans ever since then stems back to that moment. It was my fault. Sorry, guys. His memory was faded, but reflex remained. His memory was faded, but the reflexes remained. All right, that's better. Got any change, governor? Oi, mate. Give us a smoke, will you? It's like half of two different fucking regional dialects in there. I wish I was better at accents. I really ought to just spend like a week and just hammer down and work on doing and maintaining accents. But I feel like the formative period of my life where I would have spent that time is gone. I always like envy people like Anthony Cumia and so forth, where they're just really good at impressions and accents and so forth. Mm-hmm. I'd be happy for the next 6 months if I could just speak and write English correctly. Well, total immersion is the way to go. I mean, your English is pretty good as is, but definitely, it's like just from the text alone, you can tell you're not a native speaker, and I'm sure that the speaking is much more difficult. But yeah, like if you really want to learn a language, one, try to do it before you're 25. Um, it gets much harder every year after you're 25. To full immersion is the ticket. You just got to get to somewhere where they only speak English, and do nothing else for as much as you can. Like only read English books, only watch English television. Just try to isolate the other language completely out of your mind. And you have to need to use the English. You can't be around people who will talk to you in anything else, and you'll just leaps and bounds. Like a year of full immersion is worth 10 years of study. But not everybody can do that. But if you can, holy shit, it's so helpful. And the other part of it too is if you have to make money to do something, like if you have to tend bar and talk to people and so forth, having that link in your mind, like I need this to eat, really makes it easier to pick up things. Because honestly, learning a language is just saying like this word is important, like this connection of sounds is important. It matters, right? As opposed to like blah, blah, blah. Like that's gibberish. It has no meaning to me. But that's actually the most beautiful word in French right there. So, but French people aren't important to me. But if they were, would matter. Fucking French. Don't read online trash. Read published works. Yeah. Don't read my trash or whatever. But yeah, people really do write really poorly online. There's just like such a low bar for it. That's one good thing about the publishing process. They do screen out 75% of the horse shit. The sow squealed and the sow squealed in pain and turned away from the strike. Fish held on and wrenched his blade free. She wheeled back to face him. As she wheeled back, Fish saw he'd scored a solid touch. Blood spurted from her shoulder. The bristles on her back were raised, and her yellow eyes were wide with indignation. She stamped the earth with her injured leg, snorted contempt, and charged. Fish was cornered, with his back to the river. No feint could save him now. He fell into stance. If he was fated to die here, he wouldn't go alone. One chance, one thrust, through the eye, to the hilt. Their final clash was a washout. The clash was a washout. The sow's injured leg gave out mid-charge. She slammed against the sand like a failed tree and plowed into the river. As she slid past, Fish scrambled out of the way and jabbed his sword into the thick ham of her rear leg. Hoping she'd be too... He backed away, hoping... I like this. I like this right here. Muted and lurking. Hope your time zone is going well. Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's going extremely well at the moment. Yeah, I'm trying something new today, where I attempt to well, not attempt to. So I read through the chapter and thought about when I wanted to get done before I went. So like my routine in the morning is I wake up, brush my teeth, get a big ass iced coffee, and go for a stroll to like clear my mind. And then I settle down to write. Like I set up all the stream stuff and I settle down to write. So this morning I tried something new where I read through the chapter and thought about what I wanted to get done before 9 o'clock, which is when I usually stop writing. And so far it hasn't worked, but I'm hopeful that I'll get there. Yeah. Twice bitten, the sow was far from finished. She rose from the river with an unholy snarl. Blood and water streamed from her sides. Good strategy. Ruined by Romanians as always. It does help. It helps like a little bit. The other thing is I reread the chapter before I went to bed too, so I could think about things that I wanted to fix in it there. Just trying to keep like my mind on like ideas and so forth. And honestly, this is a little bit of a pivotal chapter because this is where the work on rewriting Fish begins. Mm-hmm. JK Romanian dude. Yeah, they don't have kidding in Romania, by the way. It's not a concept that like everything is said with a complete Kafkan sincerity. They don't understand sarcasm either. Like, I'm fucking with you. She rose from the river with an unholy snarl. Blood and water streamed from her sides. A swollen knee throbbed with complaint. I like. I like that they're both hurt and like, uh, uh. Thoroughly distracted again. Uh, Katarinka. Oh, I want to look this up. I'm not distracted. Yeah, what is Katarinka? Katarinka, YouTube. Don't get into a relationship. Oh yeah, that's what I want. Fucking relationship advice from well, it hasn't made its way into English yet. Twice bitten, the sow was far from finished. She rose from the river with an unholy snarl. Shoutouts to Milkness. That's her edit right there. Katarinka. Oh, the little whatever. Here, let me see. I want to see the meaning. Let's check out Wiktionary. Yeah. Where's the little? Oh man, I can't even make it. Yeah, Katarinka. So we don't have that in English, but let's try Romanian. Svenska. Romanian is not in Wiktionary. All right, I'm gonna have to take your word for it. What happened to the scoreboard? And I spelled it wrong. Katarinka means I'm joking. Yeah, I don't know what that little swoop on top of the A makes it sound like. What happened to the scoreboard? Oh yeah, I added a little. I gave everybody their own color, and then whoever is on top has the little cup right there. It's looking good. I should re-add the little sound effects for people's edits. By the way, Romania is on the list. It's right there. What? Where the fuck is it? All right. This is really distracting. Italiano, Norse, Netherlands. Oh, there we go. Katarinka. Oh, here. I can copy this little fucking weird A. But now the language, yeah. A is Abrev. So I get poo color, very cool. It's because your sound effect used to be just your ass. Really and truly. All right, so. Abrev. Oh, that's why. Katarinsa. Yeah. Well, I need this in English, so. It's my own fucking fault. Oh, am I stuck in Romanian forevermore? Yeah, indeed I am. Didn't you cut it? All right, so it's only in Romanian. In English, we got nothing. But at least now I have translation in English. Street organ, derision joke, ridicule. Colloquial. Street organ.
Street organ.
So, yeah, is it like a monkey grinder or is it like a fucking accordion? So they're joking. Their like version of joking is just I'm playing a monkey. Is it a fucking schwa? I have no idea what that is. Oh, I love this. I would love to do like 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. Yeah. Three good legs beat one. Soon she was at his heels. I think I took it out already. Mm-hmm. 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 There we go. Oh, both of you were trying to edit that too, but I had already cut it. Yeah, both of your points were denied. That's wretched. Oh god, who dares comment on this stream? Oh, apparently void.fyi, magnificent. Yeah, just every YouTube video gets spammed with this shit. I don't even know what it is. Nobody ever clicks it. Yeah, that was, so I had done like the first 10 minutes of the stream with no audio or whatever, and somebody had to wait in and be like, you're muted. And it was just, like, I need to do a sound check at the start of the streams, unfortunately. It's my own fault for messing with my audio devices, but just the same. Mm-hmm. All right, hold on. I want to finish this chapter today. How long do I have? I have an hour and 20 minutes, so we need to work faster. No. Um, afraid of being terrified. Did I really write that? No, why did I write that? Does that happen a lot? Yeah, when you're like, because as you're rewriting, you're thinking about like several things that you want to change in the chapter, and you kind of like lose your place. Also, I'm getting old, like that's senility setting in. Um, but the other part of it too is even as a young person, it's easy to like bungle this whole thing. And as you go through what you've written, you'll see many places where you're like, why did I do that? And it's generally because of a lack of focus on a singular line and you like thinking ahead to other paragraphs and so forth. Afraid his sword would snap, that his knees would give out, or his heart would burst. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the process of writing, I think one of the reasons why people are so fascinated with it is you can really see some insights into how brains work. Because in terms of activities that people will do, it's one that requires like the most singular focus. It's right up like under music, right under music. Um, so in terms of like intense concentration on a single thing, you would probably have performing music and dance would be like way up there at the top, or like dueling somebody, where everything is like riding on the line. Then under that somewhere would probably be like writing code as requiring more focus, but like over whatever time. And then you get into writing. These are all like high focus, high strain activities, like playing chess at a grandmaster level or whatever. Want to write, and I'm watching how you do it. Well, definitely only write in your native language. Like for the most part, don't try to write in English. Like whatever language you're most comfortable in, write in that one, because you really need to be a fucking genius to write in multiple languages with any degree of convincingness. Um, but what was the other thing I was going to say there? But yeah, like start now because it takes like 10 years to get any good. It is a long haul. Uh, I say that to everybody. Ahead, the path was blocked by a fallen oak tree. Fish scrambled onto the trunk, and a sharp twinge shot from his left wrist. Every part of his body cried out, "Too old, too old." The perverse calm had evaporated, and he was afraid. Uh, 7 more to go. 5 if you count my. I mean, those matter. Those matter. But like, in terms of writing, what I see for the most part is it takes around 10 years, and like 5 or 6 of those years is people just fucking around and like occasionally writing and so forth. And then 2 years is like they start to get serious, and then you need about 3 years of writing every day and really critically looking at what you write and working with an editor to start to get to what I would deem like a professional level. And because I'm not professionally successful, take that with a grain of salt. I may not know. What I think is good may not be good. So definitely find some other sources. But this is what I truly believe. It just takes like a lot of time to get any kind of decent. But keep in mind, this is my experience of trying to do it without like getting a formal education in this, without like going to classes and so forth. Uh, is that fucking around? Wrote 5 stories in 2020. Yeah, like a lot of people really got like a lot of stories done right there for a comic book artist too. Uh, you're gonna spend like so much more time illustrating, and unless you're not drawing them yourselves and so forth. Yeah, like I would assume that you just like sketch out the panels and like write the dialogue and the like narrative pieces of it there. But I don't know. I don't know your process. But ahead, the path was blocked by a fallen oak tree. Fish scrambled onto the trunk, and a sharp twin. I mean, it's in my name. All graphic novel link. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have time to. I don't look up people in the chat for the most part. Uh, Busily engaged in the enterprise of trying to fix this chapter. Every part of his body cried out, "Too old, too old." Yeah. So I think there's a rule for colons in front of comma separated lists right there in your screen name. Yeah, yeah. Like honestly, you should like if you want people to check out your stuff, just link to the particular work. You can't trust that they will look you up. Like from time to time, like that's why I have like the fucking website on the screen is a call to action. Um, there's so much stuff out there. I don't want that colon there. Mm-hmm. I didn't mean I want to share. Forget our conversation. I'll watch you edit from. That's fine. That's my own fault. I mean, also when you're like, editing is hard. I don't know what to do or whatever. You like turn your. I just have another screen over here, so I like turn my head to the thing. Somebody distract me from how miserable I am. But yeah. Well, fret not. Yeah, like I when people don't want to share their work, usually they're right for the most part. When they don't like want somebody else to see it because it's not done yet or whatever, or they're not near that, that's usually a good impulse. it really does take much longer than most people anticipate at first before they're ready to share it. Like probably like I should have worked longer before I put out my first book. It could definitely be a lot better. And I was like very late in the game because like I always had the like I didn't want people to like burden people with like my unfinished nonsense and so forth. And here I am right now doing this thing. Okay, so hold on. Give me 1 second, and I want to see. Guess who has to put a noise gate on his master output? Professional though, illustrator in the advertisement business. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Or was. Yeah. Oh, that's wild. Yeah, yeah. Like I work with a few illustrators. I used to be in advertising as well for a little. I hated it. It was like my least. It wasn't as bad as working at a bank, but working in advertising is so crushing. But yeah, like one of the dudes that the dude that did the ship for this cover is a Ukrainian guy who's like a 3D animator, and I believe that he did some work in advertising. Um, I can't remember which is the one for where you want to express solidarity with Ukraine and their independence. Is that where you call it the Ukraine or you call it Ukraine? I think Ukraine is the one where you're like fuck you, Vlad. Um, but I can never remember. They're just close in my mind. The perverse calm had evaporated. Mm-hmm. Terror drove him into a burst of speed. I like that. Like, yeah, everybody's a gangsta until they feel like the hot breath of a monster swine on the back of their neck. Oh, I love that shit. Oh, got to get an MRI today. Oh, shitcoin rallied a little bit. Still in the garbage can. Fish felt hot pig breath snort against the back of his neck, and the perverse. Yeah, I like hot pig breath. It's like it's a cop. Um, so the narrative voice is gangsta? No, not at all. I did a book where the narrative voice was kind of gangsta, but this is more just like like Mike Tyson's like everybody got a plan until they get punched in the face, or I think is punched in the head. No, it's definitely in the face because that's how Mike Tyson would talk. But it's just like a common English meme. Everybody gangsta until X. Uh, like everybody gangsta until it's time to code in production or some horseshit like that. Like the inherent joke is the juxtaposition of everybody gangsta, which is real street, and then you do something like everybody gangsta until House Resolution 347 need one more vote, or it's hard to explain. You had to be there. They act like they have three pairs of balls. I think the top lines of chat are behind the banner. Or did everything get fucked up? Let me try and fix that, because I know something else was fucked up too. Okay. No, they're not. Okay. There we go. All right. Well, you should. Yeah, yeah. They were not indeed hidden behind the banner, but I was able to move our notification bubble to the right place, so it was worth getting up anyway. What the fuck was that? Everything went black. I like that. They have three pairs of balls. I wonder if I'll ever pick up any fucking Romanian. Probably not. If I go, I'll pick up a little bit, like droget prost and stuff like that. But it sounded more like Serbian, but okay. Um, yeah. Well, I don't actually know how to do the Romanian accent at all. It's been so long since I talked to a Romanian, like probably 10 years or more. So, what was the last story that I wrote? Actually, was about not a Romanian but a Roma, and it was some of the Roma speak was in there. Uh, I think one of the characters says something like "vacare romene" or some shit like that. Um, but very little, because it's actually quite hard to translate the Roma language with any degree of certitude, because they have like four or five different significant dialects, and they're very, very. This was about a Roma from the Zagari region of Iran, and like there's very little about their whole thing. I hope it's good. It was like I doubt I can get it published. Where can I read it? We edited it on the stream, actually. If you go through this channel, you can find the whole thing. But I'm still trying to get that one published somewhere. It was called the Varanasi Nazarene, and I think we edited it on stream. So yeah, there were. If you go through the videos, there's one of like short stories where we edit that one. I think it only took a day. It's annoying, but you could totally like parse through, like scroll through the video as you read. God, that's awful. But those stories I'm still trying to sell. So I don't publish stuff online while I still think I can sell it, and eventually I give up and just publish it. So at some point I will publish a collection of short stories with some of the small fiction that I've written. Is it really Romani? Yeah, the language, the whole story is not written in Romani, but one of the characters in it is a Roma. It takes place in Morocco, actually. It's about a priest and a pickpocket who kind of fall for each other. And the priest is like a big old fat guy, and the pickpocket is like this very hard-lived Romanian girl. So, whew. Yeah, she's from Romania, but she's a Roma. So, I'm sorry that y'all are always getting confused for each other because they're close to each other. Hmm. Yeah, so we delete this. Mm, mm, mm. Wait, is that Romani, or are they cousins? Oh, is it really Romani, or are they cousins? Oh, okay, gotcha. I already read that. Mm-hmm. He worried as ahead the path was blocked by the thick trunk of a fallen oak tree. Fish scrambled onto the trunk and a twinge shot from his left wrist. Every part of his body cried out, too old, too old. He worried as, yeah, see. Mm-hmm. By the way, where do you go to pick up a better understanding of the English vernacular either side of the ocean? If what I trying to fix my inner language mistakes. Uh, so if you want to like pick up English, definitely move to either America or to London, like one of those two places. Like London, um, New York is kind of good, but also bad in that like you can definitely find Romanian enclaves here. London, probably like tons of Romanians floating around there. Uh, I don't know. Like if you're moving to the U.S., just go to California for sure. Just come here on some kind of student visa or whatever. There really is no substitute for picking up, moving to the country where you want to pick up the language and exclusively speaking it for about 2 years. You're probably too old to pick up the language without an accent, although some people can do it anyway. But you could tremendously improve your English, and in terms of your like overall lifelong earning potential, being fluent in English or Chinese is pretty up there. So definitely worry about it. You seem like as soon as you say that, keep in mind like for native speakers, as soon as you say like it's not my first language or whatever, we give you like a huge leeway because it's a very difficult language to learn. Um, why did I say I try to fix my? But but yeah, I digress. I mean, like English is pretty good, honestly, for what it is. You certainly have enough English to get by in any kind of business context as is. So so really, I don't know if your goal is to eventually write in English. Now, writing creatively in English, ooh, that's a hard one. Very, very difficult to do. So yeah, definitely, if you want to write creatively in English, you'll absolutely want to get into an environment where there are primary. You may already be there. Maybe you're already in London or something like that. But you definitely want to be around people who are speaking English all the time. Um, and like if you just run through, there's like a list of the top 100 movies of all time in English, and if you watch those just one by one with English subtitles, you'll pick up like a tremendous amount of language that is not region specific, and each of those is going to have like different aspects of the English. I write the British English. That's what I've learned. Even I'm yeah, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Like the differences between British and English in terms of publishing, they absolutely do not matter. They're mutually intelligible to people in America and Britain aside. Um, so Spathywah says ESL people who want to write in English should study English formally. Um, all that is fine, but it doesn't set one up for actual literature. I don't know how. Yeah, I really can't tell you. I would not in a million years think that I could write in another language. And I mean, also my like Spanish is pretty poor. My Arabic is pretty poor. Um, so like I know that I will never have that level of ability with those languages. So I'm like a different case. You are much further along than I will probably ever be in another language. But it's a little easier too because there are comics, so you can really get by with like as long as your core concepts are good. If you like have a friend or whatever that works in translation and so forth, they can help you out quite a bit. Um, but it's a big ask to try and write in a language that is not your native tongue. Um, And the only people I know that do it well are like almost geniuses, like people who can write in like two or three languages or translate and so forth. ESL is English as a second language. It's like a very we use that here in America like pretty extensively, and I guess maybe in the UK as well. But yeah, it's how we refer to classes for people who are usually as adults trying to pick up English, which is ugh, I feel bad. But I don't know why I keep going black there. What's our voltage at? 8.3 amps, 115. Right there. Something's going wrong. Um, yeah, I drop frames on the webcam as a webcam and stream output the same frame rate. So what you're seeing there, where it like flash black and so forth, isn't it dropping frames? It's an issue with either like I need to shore up the connection of the HDMI cord or whatever. This is a it's a Sony RX 107, and it's going into a capture card directly. So not a webcam per se. It's like kind of like a DSLR, but it's not like it's not an interchangeable lens. It's a point and shoot. um, so probably not like an English major, but definitely like there are creative writing languages, like probably like a couple of formal English courses, and then just get directly into creative writing classes right there. Like obviously you don't want to an English major, unless you want to get into publishing, very limited in its commercial appeal. Yeah, yeah, ooh, like you will almost certainly have more earning potential with your ability to illustrate than you will ever earn from like an English major. Yeah, but just in terms of he's right in terms of like definitely like taking a class or two on English grammar would certainly help. Um, but yeah, I'm much more like an immersion level type thing because it's not like being correct with the grammar and so forth is like one thing, but like picking the right words and like having a feel for the language is so much more important. Having a feel for the way that people actually speak. Um, So and Spathy would know more. He says that creative writing will not set you up for writing in English. Well, like just for context, what he wants to write is graphic novels. Spathy, not like he's not talking about writing prose for the most part. He's talking about which is some. I mean, you would consider it prose, but he's talking about graphic novels, and like his particular area of interest is going to be dialogue there. More so because when you write graphic novels, dialogue is what you're putting in for the most part. There's some narration, but and I do think that dialogue is not something that creative writing classes or even English classes tell you very well. Like dialogue comes from an understanding of the way that people talk, and it's something that you can only pick up by watching other dialogue in movies and so forth, and actually hearing people talk. But speaking of dialogue, I need to have a dialogue with this. I wanted to finish this fucking chapter. Oh, oh, a whole different world. Okay, so Spathy War retracts all of his advice and suggests I follow my advice. It's a whole different world. Yeah, like yeah, if he was trying to write like novels, I would say Jesus, you're a braver man than I. But graphic novels, he can absolutely get to a level. And the other part of it too is that for graphic novels, having sort of the Romanian background is not as big of a detriment as you might think. Um, his is really gonna like his understanding is gonna flavor the way that he writes a little bit, so that his dialogue will and having that like sort of Eastern European bent to his stories, depending on what kind of writing he does, could be like really good. Like if he's writing like crime stories or anything that's like hard edged or existential and so forth, he'll have a tremendous asset in his background in that language. Which but you still need to understand. Like if you're trying to write stories in English, you have to understand the way that English people talk, and you can only do that by talking with English people and watching their movies. Anyhow, ugh. Mm-hmm. So you say, if I wrote in Romanian, I can very well wipe my ass with it. Have either of us read a recently published Romanian novel? My point exactly. Well, it really depends on if, uh, like, whether or not you have the funds to get your stuff translated, right? Writing in English is like a very, very specialized skill. Though, like as I said, it takes like 10 years to get super solid at. Less so, just writing dialogue. Or writing dialogue specifically is something that you could put 1 or 2 years into. Um, but translation is much, much maybe like a better avenue. I'm not saying that you can't learn English or whatever. Just definitely consider um, whether, like, which is going to be more effective in the long run. It doesn't translate well. Culture class. Everything is translatable, like really and truly. Um, it really comes down to the skill of the translator to relate different terms. Like I just recently read the Odyssey, right? And it was an excellent translation by Robert Fagles, I think there. And this is a guy who is taking um, poems that are written in dactylic hexameter thousands of years ago, like before, like more than 2,000 years ago, these stories were told, and making it interesting to like a modern reader. You cannot get a further culture clash than ancient Greeks and like a Brooklyn fucking lowlife right here. And he can make that story interesting because he's a fantastically skilled scholar and translator. Um, there are many universal concepts in culture that are going to be applicable to everybody, and it's just like it's up to the translator to figure out like what manages. So yeah, Lonescu wrote in German and French first, translated to Romanian later. I mean, even in Stanislaw Lem, who could speak like excellent English, like published Solaris first in Polish, and he had it translated into and his English is better than my English, and he still wrote it in Polish and had it translated. So I don't. It's a difficult quandary. I'll tell you one writer I know who is also a translator, Ken Liu, who is a fantasy writer in his own right, has a lot of interesting thoughts about translating and so forth. He's a translator who translated Cixin Liu, who did the Three Body Problem, and like he from time to time will do panels and so forth about translation and what he thinks about it. Like definitely, he would have like a much more learned and well-grounded basis for this than I would. Like my only real skin in the game here is like I know a little bit about writing and a lot about English, but yeah, definitely don't like discount the ability to get decent translation, even though it is quite expensive and it's very difficult to find people who are good at it. But it's easy to like get into the mind frame of like, oh, if I only like spoke like this language, then I could be a better writer and so forth. But there's always time to develop. My faith in Romanian translators is bigger than mine. That's what I'm saying. Well, keep in mind, yeah, like I said, I know quite a few translators, right? And the translators that I know are without a doubt, brilliant. Like really, just brilliant people who hang out with like equally brilliant people, and that's why they don't hang out with me all the time. But I'm sure that there are like many that are poor. Like it may just be that I'm too used to seeing whatever. But I'm trying to finish this chapter. So distracted. Um, Romania is a culture bubble. Well, the other part of it too, like keep in mind, if I was hiring a Romanian translator, I would not look for one in Romania. I'd look for an expatriate who is living in America or the UK, because in general, those are going to be people who are better translators because they're in that society and just working with it every day. And in general, like the people who have had the good luck to get the fuck out of Romania and have like made a living elsewhere are going to be just like a little bit sharper than the people who remain behind, just by dint of the fact that they had to work so hard to get out of there, or they had to have money to get out of there, and like therefore received a better education and so forth. So yeah, like totally understand like if you're encountering shitty Romanian translators in your day to day, but you need like one that's living in London or fucking wherever there. I'm sorry that I don't have many Romanian friends here, or I would put you on to somebody. But if I write for Romanians, it doesn't translate well. Well, like I mean, this could all be an abstract, right? You could have like tremendous ability and none of us know it, or you could be terrible and like light years away from where you wanted to be there. So yeah, we're really kind of, this is all speculation at this point and so forth. Write 2 books and reuse the art and write 2 different things in the panels. Still write the. So Spaethiwa has like a. One other point too is when we talk about graphic novels, we really are talking about so little text, right? Like your average graphic novel is going to have what, like 10,000 words total in it, and I mean you're focusing on every line like a little bit more, but honestly, like in terms of dialogue, which is primarily what you're writing right there, it's not like the biggest deal in the world if you just have to write 2 different editions there. Yeah, I don't think that's like, and it's not as if Americans or British are like immune to like the overarching story themes and so forth. I don't. Yeah, I think you're worrying about this too much, and like, yeah, you'll get it anyhow. But as always, like definitely, the writing should be happening now. Writing should like if you are serious about writing, you should already be writing every day, every single day, and like in whatever your best language is, and you can work on picking up English and so forth. But if you want to put things out consistently, you have to do it every day, and there's no shortcuts there. It just has to happen. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hmm. What do I write in Courier? I'm used to. I started off writing on a typewriter, and it's just um, for editing. I find having a serif font is just much more. It's much easier for me to process what's happening, and it makes me feel like a computer hacker. A Courier is just most familiar to me. When I actually send in manuscripts, I do not send them in Courier. I change it to Times New Roman. Um, and like you can see like ample advice on manuscripts, but absolutely always Times New Roman, always double spaced, always like remove all your comments and so forth. There, I can almost teach a class on how to format a manuscript, but it's the same manuscript. Like everything else is right. Like it's all double spaced. It's all single line or first line indented half. You send in so a lot of the way that manuscripts are prepared is archaic, right? It's coming from a time when we used to edit manuscripts on paper, and you would double space your lines. One, so it's easier on the eye reading it because you're spending a lot of time staring at them. Two, because it gives the editor space to mark up the language. Like you would have like red underlines and like little notes and flags and stuff like that. Um, Actually, I know several editors that still work in this way. They still do a paper edit of the manuscript first, and then after you implement their first round of changes, we'll start to work in track changes in a Word document. So conventionally, when you send in a manuscript, and there are many good guides on how to do this, and most publishers now on their submissions page will have a they will have a page where they say exactly the format that they want to have it in, and many will even link to some very good blog posts on how to format a manuscript. So double spacing refers to the spacing between the lines, which is always 2.0, which is like double the space of a normal line. If you go here to my formatting tab, I don't know if you can see. You can't really see it because the chat is over it. My fucking indents are 0.49. I'm supposed to be 5. You see I indent by there. And then if we go to, where's that at? Where's style? You can see that my spacing is 2.0 double. It's like over here. That's the right way to do a manuscript. And I used to write in a different format, but finally I just was like, let me just start and begin in manuscript format. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a whole vocabulary associated with editing, with especially with publishing. Like you start to get into like a typesetting vocabulary where you're worried about like kerning and gutters and margins, etc. Um, but yeah, your background and well, also is like the terms are different. But yeah, like if you have a background in graphic design, you're in good shape because you'll know how to work with InDesign, which is what books are for the most part laid out in nowadays. Speaking of which, I got to get Spathy Wah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually know a fair bit about typesetting graphic design at this point because I've done like all my books I like typeset myself. So I'm still like an amateur compared to like a professional typesetter, but it's like it's now Zeros is actually in pretty good shape here. Look at this. Look at this. You got it fucking laid out, nice blocks, no widows, no oh. Then I go right to an orphan right there, killing me. But it's not too bad. It looks much better now that it's single space. Yeah, I fucked up with this one and double spaced the actual printed version because I was lazy. And I flipped to like a random line, and it's like, luckily it wasn't his penis. Mm, mm, mm. I mean, widows and orphans are like one of those things where you try really hard not to do it. I forget which is which, but the one where like there's just one word on the first line of a second page, you always avoid that one. And then orphans, I think that's that, and like widows are maybe. Hold on, I want to remember which is which. Lines at the beginning or the end of a paragraph which are left dangling. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the widow is the single line that's on the next line of the story. You always avoid those. Those are terrible. You avoid those wherever you can. The orphans are the last line is there, and the orphan is a paragraph opening that. Okay, so the widows are where your last line is on another page. You don't want that. And the orphan is where a paragraph starts on the next page. And those I managed to avoid really. The other thing that you want to avoid is like a single word on one line where you possibly can. That just looks shitty. Like there's like a lot of iFlow type stuff that you try to do. But yeah, indeed, orphans are bad too. Orphans are like I don't think that there are any in here, and if there were, it's because I fucked up. But I was confusing them with the practice where you try not to have like a tail of a paragraph, like blah 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 blah, and that single word is on its own line. And if you have like and it like breaks the way that the reader's eye flows, you want to just have it spaced a little bit so that their eye can get to the end and then flow to the next line instead of like trickling down. It's interesting, but so yeah, I was an orphan has no past, a widow has no future. Oh, that's cool. Uh, okay, yeah, but two, three widows on that wiki page, for example. Wait, two, three widows. Hold on, let's take a look at that wiki page. Lauren Ipsum. No, there's only one widow. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the single word at the end of the line, which is there's a different term for that. Let me find what it is because I want to know this. Yeah, typographers. Runt. Oh, they're called runts. Okay. I like that. Runt is a single short word at the end of a paragraph. And then a rag. What is rag right there? Fonts.com. Irregular or rag is the margin. Okay, I knew that one. So the runt is like that little word. Let me see if I can find one in our speech right here. All right. Well, it's 9 o'clock, and I have to go to work. And I think I actually have to today because I have to. Hmm, yeah. I wanted to finish this fucking chapter. I don't think you can do how many beats are left. So Spathy, are you a professional in the publishing business or such? No, he works in a different trade, but he's still like a very accomplished and like his English is spectacular. And he often catches me in many many fuck ups right there. Whoa. Hmm. Mm-hmm. 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 Ooh. Her old yellow eyes stared at fish from beneath folds of flesh. It's like a 4 or 5 hour stream today. It's fucking ridiculous. Only 3 hours. Look at me talking myself up. The Rakar was no place for men. Well, since I'm here, even though I'm just about out of gas, Yeah, so we started up here. Ugh. Fuck. All right, well, we'll pause here, and I guess this is where we started editing today. But yeah, that's about all the gas that I have here. Um, yeah, still did not finish chapter 1.9, but maybe we can do it tomorrow. Ridiculous. Well, anyhow, thanks for joining the stream. This guy is drawing. Maybe I'll check out some of your stuff. So 3 hours and 10 minutes. Good God. It's a little bit longer. So by the end of this chapter, Jesus. And we're almost done with it. So that's like 3.3, 6 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours, 21 hours so far on this chapter. That's ridiculous. That is a terrible pace. And I have to fix it. But yeah, it's just like rewriting is so slow. Hopefully some of the other chapters are a little bit better written. All right, good luck everybody, and have a good day. Beans